Have you noticed an interesting shift in the preparedness and homesteading community? It's not near as crazy as it used to be. People are starting to realize that they need to take more responsibility for themselves and be less reliant on the government and other things. We've started to find out that essential services aren't always a guarantee. Power outages, internet outages, outages of all kinds, food shortages. It's just something that's happening more and more now, and people are waking up to that. And most people, whether they want to admit it out loud or not, have all thought that, you know what, maybe, just maybe, we need to start setting some supplies back. They've thought maybe we need to get out of the big cities. And this whole community is just growing faster than ever. And it's not just the Alex Jones people. People aren't going crazy. It's just they're starting to realize that we need to take more responsibility. And it's our responsibility to be accepting to these people. They're looking for help, and they don't really know who to ask. So that, it falls on us. It's something we've got to go ahead and step up. We've got to help them. And here's the thing. A lot of them, they're too afraid to ask you. And that's okay. They need to be, cautious of who they share too much information with. And the millennials. Everybody talked trash on them for years. They were lazy, and that might have been true, at least for a time. But right now, it's the millennials that are moving out to the country. It's the millennials that are starting homesteads. It's the millennials that are becoming more self-reliant. They're starting to realize that working for the man just ain't working. They're starting to realize that they need to start hustling, just like what, I've been out doing today. And you know what? They're also starting to realize that they can get a lot done for somebody, make the same amount of money, and never have to ask to go to the bathroom again. So let's do everything we can to teach these people, help them, introduce them to this, and let them know we don't think they're crazy either. The other people won't think they're crazy. So don't be afraid to take that first step to reach out and ask for somebody for help. If you're new at this, there's people out there that are willing to help. Send me a message. Comment in the video. Do whatever you need to do. Reach out. And if you're someone who's been in this game for a while, just understand. There's people out there that want your help and have no idea how to ask. So keep that in mind. Now, with that being said, the preparedness and homesteading economy, so to speak, the business of it globally, or at least nationally, it's said that it's supposed to go over a couple $2 billion, within the next few years. So yes, we need to be involved. We need to do things. We need to get ready. But don't let yourself be scammed. Anytime there's that amount of money running around, there's going to be a scam shortly following it somewhere. And that's where we need to build community. Look out for each other. Keep each other's best interest at heart. And make sure that everybody, within our group is somewhat well protected. Help each other out wherever we can. Start dealing with our neighbors as much as we can. Introducing ourselves to our neighbors. Because I'll tell you what, friends, it's amazing whenever you finally get to live in a spot where you hear gunshots and somebody's having a wonderful time and you want to go enjoy it. You want to go over there and have fun with them. Coming out of the city, and every time you heard a gunshot, you wanted to call the police, and it was a terrible deal, and it meant that somebody's life was in danger. Once you move outside of those built-up areas, everything changes. I don't hear cars honking. I hear roosters. There's not a whole lot of dogs barking in the middle of the night. And if there is, well, it actually means something. It means there's a critter in the backyard, a rabbit, or something like that. It's something I kind of need to go check out. People are starting to realize the freedoms that you get from getting outside of the city. See this building right here? Do you know how many people's permission I had to ask before I put that there? 0. People are just wanting to get out to a place where they can be left alone. You know, and you hear a lot of people say freedom isn't free. Well, yeah, it is. But freedom isn't necessarily easy. There's going to be a little bit more hard work, you know, whenever you start to take responsibility for yourself. But I'll tell you what, it's work that I love doing. There's nothing else that I'd rather do than be out here on the homestead, working and sweating in the heat. The hardest I've ever worked, 14, 16 hours a day. But guess what? It's work that's building something that I'm looking forward to. It changes the entire game. You see that storm right there blowing in? I can see every bit of it. As far as the eye can see. These are the things that people are waking up and starting to realize. It's more than just preparedness. It's more than just homesteading. But people are starting to understand that the way we've been used to living our lives just isn't going to work out the way it used to be. You know, and if you feel like you're lost in this whole thing, don't worry about it, because everybody is just as clueless as the next. But together, we can accomplish amazing things. And that's what I'm doing with this YouTube channel, is I'm wanting to build a community, an online community where the smartest people in the world exist. And why are they that way? Because they were able to learn from each other. So I encourage you, tell somebody something, just a piece of advice. It doesn't even have to be about this whole preparedness or homesteading thing. Leave it in the comments. If you see a question, answer it for somebody, not just on my channel, but everybody's channel. And together, we can build the biggest brain trust that's ever existed. Colleges are dead. If you want a real education, you go to YouTube or TikTok, social media, Facebook groups. That's where all the real knowledge is found. But anyway, stick around for the item of the day, and you guys be safe. So today's item of the day is pretty simple. It's just one of these 5-gallon igloo water coolers. We actually use this thing quite a lot. I've had this one for 5-6 years. You talk about for events, parties and stuff that you're gonna have at your house, fill this thing up with lemonade or juice. I've heard about people putting coffee in them and it's still keeping the coffee hot. But one thing I think that people forget about these is they also make a pretty good cooler. So if we're going fishing or something, we can throw some stuff in here and it works just fine as a cooler. Keeps the drinks cold, gives you a pretty comfortable seat to sit on. The form factor of it rides really good in the bed of a truck, can be buckled in the car seat or on a side-by-side or whatever. Looking past, you know, just the water aspect of this, but think of it like a cooler, and you know, it takes up about the same amount of, a little bit more space than a basketball if you've got it sitting in the bed of a truck or something. And for a fishing trip, it's just nice to have this. It's a little bit easier to carry around than, you know, a traditional cooler, and the height of it works out perfect for a seat. So that's really what I, you know, use the majority of the time for something like that, you know, a fishing trip or even just a tailgate party. You know, if we, you know, go to watch one of the kids at a football game. My daughter was involved in the band and my son plays football as well. Another thing that you should look at with these is, you know, what if the power goes out and you need to have some water stored on hand? You can fill this thing up for drinking water. Use it to, you know, rinse your hands off. Use it for drinking water. 1,000 different uses in a, you know, a prepper type scenario with it just sitting on the counter. So yeah, take a look at one of these. If you don't have one, there's really no excuse not to. They're pretty inexpensive. And if you use my link on Amazon, you're going to support us. Even if you don't buy something that is listed in the link, As long as you buy something within 24 hours after clicking my link, we will get a small commission off of it. We're talking pennies. We're not getting rich off of it. But it doesn't cost you any extra, and it lets you help support the channel. And we use that money to spend the money that must be spent to keep this whole thing going. So until next time, hey, you guys be safe.